So the last thing for me to really mess with is figure out how to get guitar into the Teenage Engineering Medieval. I thought about a couple ways. One of them was to use my Zoom H5 recorder, but I figured that the best and most versatile way would be to use the looper on my HX Stomp. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, and we're gonna see if we can sample and see if I'll be successful this time. So I've got this patch, and I'm gonna loop. I'm gonna record a loop, just a simple loop, and then I'll get that into the Teenage Engineering Medieval, and then we'll make a very simple beat and see how it goes. So here we go. I'm going to engage that looper. Okay, so now we got the sample. And I'm kind of tapping to get an idea of what the tempo is. So let me just go here and make sure that all these groups only have one. They all have one. Stop it. All right, they all only have one. So I'm gonna go to D here. Make sure there's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. It's the same project I used for this botched sample song yesterday, but I've deleted the entire project. So when you delete the project, the tempo resets, like it's back to 120 now, but I'm actually gonna use tap tempo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit play here, and I'm gonna kind of tap along. Now I'm gonna do that here. Okay, so we're gonna keep that. It says 77. I'm gonna change it to like 78 because that seems more realistic. 78, 76. Have a round number. Even if it's wrong later, it doesn't matter. We'll go back and fix it. Now I'm gonna hit Manus. I'm gonna hit Altero here and Demos. So now I have the sampling open. And let me just play this to see what the volume is. That's the volume indicator, so now it's clipping. Okay, cool, because we don't want it to clip. So now let me just set the threshold, and I set the threshold up here. This threshold is really annoying with no indicator. I talked about this in the last video. So now I want to sample to this pad here. So I'm going to hold this down, and then I'm going to activate my loop. So here we go. It's a little different to delete a sample, so I gotta, excuse me, I gotta go into the manual because this thing's so annoying. You know, you would think that if you sampled something it would be the same, but you don't. So I'm gonna go into sampling, and let's see, enter sample mode, yeah, input level, retake a sample, Altero, Demos, and then hold. So Altero, hold. Why is it in shop now? I don't know why it's in shop now. So Altero, Demis, hold. By going back to sample mode and retaking. Okay, here we are, we're in sample mode again. So I'm just gonna hold this down early. And let's hear it. No, I don't like it again. So nope. The Manus. All right, we're back. I'm gonna try it again. Okay, so now we're gonna have to edit the sample. And I am going through the manual again because I don't remember anything about the sample chopping or anything like that. So here I've got in and out points, and as you can see here, it's showing me how to use the in and out points, but it's not giving me any button combinations to get there. There's another section called sample chopping, right? It's up above, but I feel like when you're down in this area, because of how the manual's set up, it should just show you the entire process. It shouldn't break it up like this, because this device is confusing as can be with the way everything is named. Just in general, the way the buttons are named and everything. They really didn't do a good job of making this easy to pick up. I actually got a comment from one of you guys today that I replied to, talking about how you've had yours since this past Wednesday. It's Saturday, by the way, and you're going through some of the same pains that I'm going through. So this seems like it's happening with a lot of people. It's just confusing and annoying. Bear with me. I want to make this video uncut, so I'm going to try to make a really, really simple beat with this sample, just so that I can leave this uncut process in here, so you can see how much I have to go through the manual and everything. Okay, so to get into chop mode, I'm going to hit Altero and tap Demis twice. Okay. Altero, Demis. No. And it doesn't tell me if I need to hold it, if I need to tap it. So now I'm in chop. Okay. So I just want to change the endpoint of this. Okay, so now I'm that's a decent out point. Let's set the in point. I'm gonna set the out point back a little bit. Okay, that's a good enough point for me. So I'm gonna exit out of this. Now let's see, I'm gonna hit claves. Sounds good to me, so I'm gonna shut off my HX stomp and get it out of here. Gone now. Let's get this in the picture better. Okay, so now I've got it in. To experiment with this. Right now I have a bar, so here we go. That's no good. Undo. Good, we got nothing. I guess I'll start. I can live with that. Let's go into A. Let's hit Sonus, and my drums that I like, I believe, are in like Sonus 350. But I want to be setting this up. Let's go here now. as far as the drums go. Let's figure out a bass. Hit Sonus. Is it 700? Cool, I'm good with that as well. I'll figure out a melodic one later. Just let me get the drums and the bass down. So I'm gonna hit Manus, and let's go back to 0. I'm on the bass track. We're gonna go back on that one. Good, it's not there. Quantum, let me change it to 16. Let's see if that's any better. And what's up with the swing? Let's turn the swing up and make it real funky on this one, since I don't care much. All right. Yeah, that's a little funky. So I'm going to turn that swing down. It's a little much. I can live with that. Here we go. Oops. Hey, why is there no back option? That's weird. It doesn't matter. We'll go Rado A, delete the pattern. Okay. Here we go. I can live with that. Let's see. Manus. Let's get ourselves a melodic sample. So I'm in group C now. I'm gonna hit Sonus, and let's go back to the 750s. Start it there. I'm fine with that. Do I want to make it higher?
cool. So I'm gonna go back to Manus and I'm gonna double the length. So this one's gonna have 2 of those lanes. Actually, we're gonna add more. There we go. And let's stop that. Go back. Here we go. I can live with that. Now we're gonna coffee break. Okay, this is where I always run into problems, right? So now we're gonna add some effects. So I'm gonna hit Focus. That delay is trash, and I already put a delay on my guitar. We're gonna add some reverb. And we're gonna mess with the length of the reverb. We're gonna mess with this. Turning that reverb up, baby. Okay, I have the volume of everything where I want. So what you're supposed to do when you want to change the reverb send individual tracks being sent to the reverb, like for instance the bass, when I hit bass and I hit fader, it's set to live, right? But I'm supposed to switch that to focus so that now this is how much of the effect is sent to the bass, because I want 0. Now if I go back to the drums, the fader's still set to live. So now I switch to focus and I should be able to. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to Manus and I'm gonna hit play, hold focus, solo the drums. But now it's controlling the volume. So here's where I got in trouble yesterday when I was adding effect to the sample. So here we go. I'm on the sample. I'm gonna hold down fader. It's still set to live. I like the volume of it, so I'm gonna hit focus. I'm doing this very slow because I don't want this to mess with me. So let's play it. Okay, so far so good, nothing's messed up. So let's try to do a little jam. I'll try to keep it short and let's see what happens. So what do I want to start with? I'm going to start off with just the drums.
So I don't know why, but that actually worked. You could say maybe I'm getting better with this thing, but I doubt it. No, that was a fun one. I got a little carried away with the jam because everything was working without a hitch, but this thing worked out pretty well today. It'd be really cool if this thing had the ability to use an audio interface with it. I mean, I know that's a lot to ask for a unit like this, but if you didn't have to, or if you just didn't have to hold down a button to sample into it, because I could do a lot more with this thing if I wasn't forced to sample one guitar chord into it. If I could sample to a metronome, for instance, and just play guitar chords into it, I could then use multiple chords and just create a kind of a loop. But as it is, I'm using samples of my guitar, which is kind of cool. It'd be cooler if you could resample the pads, because then I could add effects, more effects to the guitar, maybe even the punch in effects to the guitar, and then use those and make them sound more like samples. But that was pretty cool, in my opinion, as someone who doesn't really sample that often. Like, I usually like to record chord progressions or a bass line and start from there, but it's an interesting way to work. I'm happy that it actually worked out today, because yesterday I just ran into that crazy issue. And a weird thing, I went back and tried to listen to that thing, and I saw that there was some mute group activated, but I'd never intentionally, at least, activated any mute group. And then I went online and tried to figure out how to use the mute groups, and the instruction manual doesn't really tell you. Like, I found some weird AI answer on the Google search that kind of told me how to do it, but it was set up for the KO2, not the Medieval. So I wasn't able to understand which buttons it was talking about just off the bat because of the naming convention of this. And this is still a pretty new unit, so there aren't a lot of tutorials out there about this for anything. So I couldn't figure out how to turn off the mute group. But then it turned out it wasn't a mute group. It turned out it was just that I had muted all of these using the fader so that I could listen to, Group D, which is where I had the sample. So then when I turned all those back up, it turned out I hadn't used the mute group. Still haven't figured out what happened to that sample, so I just had to give it up, get rid of that thing. And yeah, I guess that there's just some glitching that happens with the sampler sometimes. Didn't happen today, and I'm happy about it because I had fun making that. But yeah, I'm trying to think of ways to use this thing so that I can make as many videos as possible. And I've kind of decided that I'm just not going to keep it. But what I am probably going to do is get a KO2 after I sell this one. Because the KO2, it has twice the space for samples. The buttons are labeled properly. And I am warming up to the workflow of this. And I like the idea of being able to just take this with me somewhere with some headphones and just sit there and just hammer some stuff out and have a good time. Am I going to do that? Only time will tell. I went through a whole rabbit hole with my MPC of, first I had this battery pack so I could take it mobile and make beats. And then that battery pack died and I got a MyVolts ripcord. And the only way I ever use the ripcord is in my bed when I don't want to plug the wall wart of the MPC One, and I've never gone out and made it. But the MPC One Plus is considerably more expensive than this, and that's my baby. That's my favorite way to start music, make music. When I was playing solo shows, I'd make all the backing tracks on that, so I can't have anything happen to the MPC One Plus. That's my baby. But to have a KO2, just to take around, even take to a friend's house who plays guitar, plays bass, and hammer out a drum pattern and then we can both jam to that thing. Like, this has some interesting applications. But it's just, I just hate the way that the buttons are named, and it makes everything complicated. It makes it hard to memorize the button combinations, because as you could see in that, there's a lot of button combinations you need to use. And also just the lack of feedback, like not having feedback, not knowing where my threshold is set, and then also not having endless encoders so that there's no recall. It's just a nightmare scenario when it comes to the sampler and stuff like that. But overall, that was fun today. I'm gonna put this together, and my intention, I'll let you know, was to put the whole thing in uncut, but I also don't want it to be like a 50-minute long video. So if I have to make cuts, excuse me, but I'll leave in like the most important parts where it shows me struggling through using the sampler, just so you can see for yourself. Because my intention here, there's a lot of people who make videos on this thing and the KO2, and these are people who use things like the Digitact and, you know, older styled samplers like that. Like, I actually have a Digitact here that I borrowed for a friend, and it's been sitting in my living room for like a few months. And the time that I tried to use it, I hated the workflow of that thing. So I haven't touched it since. My intention was to make videos with it. I just hate that workflow. And this workflow is more similar to that than it is to the MPC. And so, yeah, this being a more stripped down one, it's even more challenging for me. But a lot of the people who make videos on these things, they used old samplers. They're fans of like the Electron style workflow and stuff like that. Maybe they had like a model samples, model cycles, all those. And so they're more versed in using this. My intention making these videos is kind of to put these out here for people like myself, like people who might be like more traditional musicians who played in bands, and they sample so that they can make a more modern type of music that still incorporates instruments but also uses beat machines. And they might have used MPCs, they might have used Machina, something like that, the more modern sampler groovebox things, where if you come from that to this, it's like you have to learn Greek, right? And especially when you put the weird naming conventions. I know I harp on that a lot, but it is really a point of friction for me. It's really annoying. I don't want to have to remember that Demis is the sample button, or that intra is the or that fabula is play and codex is record. Now, mind you, the playback and record buttons are what you use probably the most, so those were the easiest to remember. Sonus and Manus and Tempus are kind of easy, but like, what is Nito? You know? What is Finis? What is Initi with two I's at the end? I have no idea, right? What is Tonus? Tractus? Moby? It's just ridiculous. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for watching. I'm going to do that MPC video next, comparing the MPC One to this. I know it's not a fair comparison, pricing and the intention of the thing and all that, before all of the teenage engineering fanboys come for me, but I think it is fair to make that comparison for people who might be like myself, starting out where I started out, when I was looking at a bunch of different samplers and trying to figure out which one would work. Like, I think I was looking at like the MC 101 and things like that too. So I feel like just having as many comparisons out there, it helps people make a better choice.